Lads, welcome back to Fusion YGO. It is your boy Christian the Haver Cardman, and we are bringing you another deck profile today. So I know I've done profiles on this deck before, but that was before they actually released it in cardboard. I actually have the deck on paper now. I think it's a ton of fun, and with the most recent ban list that we just had, I think this deck is actually potentially playable as a rogue contender in this format. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into the pure Rescue Ace deck profile. All right, and here we are with the beautiful Rescue Ace deck. Unfortunately, was not able to get the collector's rare hydrants, but maybe we'll fit that in the budget for later. So let's just go ahead and get things started off today with the monsters. We are running, of course, triple Rescue Ace hydrant. This is like the best starter for your deck. Just a free normal summon. You get to search another monster every turn. As long as it stays on field, you can just use its effect to search for another Rescue Ace monster. This is also your biggest key piece for all of your back row. You need him to enable their best effects, which is just awesome. I mean, he's totally worth playing at 3. And even actually more copies than that, because we're also playing 2 Gizmek Naganaki, the Sunrise Signaler, because this is also another normal summon that is able to summon Hydrant from the deck. So you're pretty much free to go if you have this guy. That's total of 5 copies of Hydrant right there. Didn't want to open up too many normal summons, so I left it at 2 instead of playing 3. Because next up, we're also playing 3 Rescue Ace Air Lifter or Air Hoister, to those of you who are familiar with the original translation. So this guy on normal or special allows you to search for a Rescue Ace spell. 9 times out of 10 it's going to be your field spell, but if you already have it, you can just search for an extra card to be able to use during your turn. And then when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field as a quick effect, you can tribute this guy from your hand or your face-up field to be able to special summon any Rescue Ace monster from your hand. So you can use that during either turn. Basically, you can normal summon him, get your spell, that if you need to, you can tag him out into something else that's in your hand, if you just got something that's getting stuck in there. So next up is one of my personal favorites, 3 copies of Rescue Ace Impulse. A lot of people probably disagree with me on this one, or they'd probably only run like 1 or 2. I like this guy because it's very reactive. It allows you to, whenever its first effect is irrelevant, so we're just going to ignore that. The big thing is its second effect, where it's similar to Air Hoister, in that when your opponent activates a monster effect on field, you are able to quick effect tribute this guy from your hand or face-up field to special summon a Rescue Ace machine monster from your deck. So this can just get you out a Hydrant if you didn't already get access to it. You can summon out a couple of your bigger bodies that we're going to go over here in just a second. It's just a free body that allows you to also play on turn 0, which is just really insane. Or that allows you to play going second when your opponent's going first. So next up is 2 Rescue Ace Fire Engine. This guy is just insane. When a Rescue Ace is normal or special summoned, you can special summon this guy from your hand, so free extender. Also, when your opponent special summons a monster, you are allowed to special summon a level 4 or lower Rescue Ace from your deck, which basically is Impulse, Airlifter, or Hydrant. You just get to summon any of those guys for free off of that Fire Engine, which is just super nice. For the 1 of Rescue Aces, we do have 1 of Rescue Ace Fire Attacker. Has the same summoning situation as Fire Engine. Can summon itself from hand if a Rescue Ace is normal or special summoned. And then with this one, if a card is added to your opponent's hand from their deck, you are allowed to draw 2 cards and discard 1, so it just helps you cycle through your deck and get more resources. We also have 1 Rescue Ace Monitor. This guy will probably come up more once we get the 3rd trap for Rescue Ace. But basically, on his normal or special summon, you get to add a Rescue Ace trap from your deck to your hand. And then he has the same tag out effect as Impulse and Air Hoister, except with him, he summons from the graveyard. So basically, he's just like a solid 1 of that you can have here or there. Like, it's not really necessary. It's just an extra target for your stuff, mostly. And then we are also running double Rescue Ace Turbulence. Probably can't really tell, but they are both collector's rares. I did splurge on these guys. And this is the Heart and Soul of your deck. So you can banish 2 Rescue Ace cards from your graveyard, which does include the spells and traps, to be able to special summon them from your hand. And then once per turn, you are able to set up to 4 different named Rescue Ace spell or traps from your deck to your field. So you literally summon this guy and you just go +4. Like, he's actually insane. So And last up for the monster lineup here, we are running double Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. It synergizes with this deck in more ways than one. I mean, it's just a good hand trap overall for being able to negate stuff, but also it's a fire monster, which does come up in the extra deck. You could argue that the tuner part could come up if you built your extra deck right, but I didn't really use it for that. And then last up here is double Lord of the Heavenly Prison. We're a huge back row deck, so big surprise. We're going to play this guy, help protect our back row, and be able to search more. So that's it for the monsters. Let's go ahead and knock out the spells and traps. So starting off with the Rescue Ace spells, we are playing, of course, 3 Rescue Ace HQ. This is also a very central part to your deck. It allows you to get an extra Rescue Ace normal summon every turn. You can shuffle back 4 Rescue Ace cards that are banished or in your graveyard, including the spells and traps, of course, to shuffle them all back and draw a card, so you get extra resources off of that. And then also, while your opponent controls a monster, all of your Rescue Ace monsters gain 500 attack. That boost isn't usually too much, but there are situations where it does come up. Next up here, we are playing 3 Alert, and all of these spells and traps have the card text on them that this card is always treated as a Rescue Ace card, so it synergizes with everything perfectly. Alert, you get to add a Rescue Ace from your graveyard to your hand, or if you control Hydrant, then you get to use it as a Rhoda and add from your deck to your hand instead. So this just has a lot of flexibility. I'm playing it at 3 because if you open this and Hydrant, you get double searches, and that's just full combo. So it just is what it is. This is a hard once per turn, unfortunately. Same thing with the next one, which is Rescue. This one, you get to target a Rescue Ace in your graveyard, or if you control Hydrant, you can target a monster in your opponent's graveyard instead, and then special summon it to your field. So it's either a monster reborn for you, or you get to use it as like a shark cannon against your opponent, which is just insane. I actually love Rescue, but only 2 is needed because it's so searchable. Next up for the spells here, we are running Triple Pot of Prosperity because this deck really doesn't care too much about its extra deck. It is nice to have the toolbox, which is why you prefer Prosperity over Extrav. Also, for just the reason that this card only really needs like 1 card to get going usually. So once you get your gas rolling, then you have no problem. Sometimes you just need this to kind of help bait stuff out or to dig deeper for that 1 card that you still need to pop off. Next up, we are running 2 Triple Tactics. I know this seems like it kind of conflicts with the Prosperity, but if they Ash our Prosperity or something like that, and we already have plays in hand, then we can just Triple Tack to rip a card out of their hand, or if we're going second, we can use it to take control of a monster, and then just further extend our plays from there. Triple Tack actually a super clutch card, especially in a Kashtira format. They're going to be activating a lot of monster effects during your main phase, so it's good to be prepared with something like that. For one-of spells, we are running 1 Reinforcement of the Army because both Impulse and Airlifter are warrior monsters, both search targets off of this, and then a single copy of 1 for 1. I mean, of course, they're both at 1, but because Hydrant is a level 1, so if you open this in another monster, you just pitch the monster, summon out Hydrant from deck, and you're good to go. All right, and now for the traps, we're only running 4 of them, and they're all Rescue Ace, but it is what it is. So we're running Double Extinguish. So this one, if you control a Rescue Ace monster, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And then if you control Rescue Ace Hydrant, then you are able to add the extra effect where your opponent cannot activate effects of that monster or monsters with the same original name as that monster. So there's a lot of strategies that this works really good against. When the first deck was first announced, it was really good against DPE. Of course, we don't see a whole lot of that anymore, but there are a lot of cases where this card will come up. I mean, just being a free pop is really nice. The traps, thankfully, are also not once per turn. So if you open up one and then you search one off of Turbulence, you're fine. Next up is Double Contain. So with Contain, if you control Rescue Ace monster, you get to target 1 effect monster your opponent controls. This turn, that effect monster cannot attack. Also, its effects are negated. And then if you control Hydrant at resolution of the effect, that monster can also not be used as material for a Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, or Link Summon. So this essentially, if you have Hydrant, turns into Imperm plus Warning Point. It's actually a really nuts card, and I think it's really slept on. A lot of people are really just liking Extinguish and then the new Reinforce Trap card that just got announced here not too long ago, but I think Contain in its own right is actually, I just call it the anti-Alistair card because it literally just shuts down the Invoked engine. But just in general, Contain is a nuts card. So that's it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and move on to the extra deck really quick, and I'm going to kind of just go through it very quickly because the extra deck is not really like anything that needs to be set in stone. It's very flexible. It just all depends on your needs, your format. If you play any other engines with the deck that need the extra deck, then you can consider stuff like that. Like if you played Scraps with this, of course, the extra deck would be a lot more important. But Rescue Ace doesn't inherently have any extra deck plays that it really cares about that much, which is why we play the Pot of Prosperity to get free searches. So just gonna breeze through this super quick here. So we have the 1 Relinquished Anima because of Hydrant, so allows us to, or helps us out going second. 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld. This is so you can help protect your field spell and stuff like that. Also just help Link Climb in general. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. 1 Platinum Gadget. This one, if you end up needing to just get an extra monster out of your hand, then you can just Platinum Gadget, and someone like Hydrant pretty much is about it. Doesn't really come up all that often, to be honest. One Geonator Transverser, it's just in here as a flex pick. If my opponent has some really big monster that I'm just having trouble outing, I can just swap it with something really weak, and then now I've got the big body on my field. And it's also, when it's linked, the monsters that are linked to it cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, so it's just really strong. Oh, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Sorry, I misread that. One IP. IP is just so strong in so many decks. If you have the room to play it, there's no reason not to. One Barricade Board Blocker helps protect the field spell. Also can add it back during the end phase if anything happens to it. So just overall a decent flex pick. One Hida, the Fire Charmer Blaze. Everything is fire, so if your opponent ashes you or they for some reason have a fire in their graveyard, you go into this guy, you make link 3, and you can just start link climbing from there to kind of help break boards and stuff. One Nightmare Unicorn, mostly to combo with the IP, but also you can just use it in your link climb to help break a board, and also go into some of our next options here, especially the next one, which is Access Code Talker. Just kind of a mandatory extra deck staple. If you can play links, you play Access Code. It's just OTK machine, really helps you break boards, deal with a lot of problems. You just can't go wrong playing him. Also one Apollosa for the rare occasion that we can set it up. It doesn't really happen that often, but it is there as a flex pick. One Topologic Balra Dragon, one Unchained Abomination, one Saryuja Skull Dread, one Nightmare Griffin, and then one White Woman Jump Scare, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Like I said, this entire extra deck is completely flexible and just up to whatever you have available. If you really just want to throw in junk that doesn't even matter at all, that's totally fine, but once again, you can just banish it off of Prosperity and not even care. So play the extra deck however you want with this deck. Once again, unless you're playing it with another engine where the extra deck actually matters, then of course cater it to that. Now for the side deck really quick, I am still kind of working on this, but this is what I am cooking at the current moment. I will, as testing goes on, of course, change things around. So all right, starting off with the side deck, Triple Raigeki. Once again, this needs some testing, this format. I don't know how good this is against Kashtira. I kind of just need to look at their plays again in their end board and just be able to figure it out from there. But overall, Raigeki is just typically a pretty solid card. There's nothing wrong with it. We're also playing 3 Forbidden Droplet. This is actually just a really free card for this deck because with all of your back row, you can activate all of your back row and then chain Droplet to it and send whatever you activated. So that way you just get extra negations and you're not really going minus at all for the most part. So just absolutely free. You could also opt to play one in the main deck if you want, so you can search it off of your Lord of the Heavenly Prison. I did think about that, and then in the end, I just didn't quite have the space for it. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to cut for it, so I just play it at the side, so I know that when I'm going second, I have that option. Also, for going second options, we are playing Triple Lightning Storm, just one of the best board breakers of the format. You get full flexibility of choosing to go after the monsters or the back row, depending on your matchup. So this really does help out a lot, and yeah, just nothing really to say about it. It's Lightning Storm. Also playing Double Cosmic, just in case we do run into the back row matchup. We just want the extra back row hate just to kind of help insulate us to make sure that we're good to go and not really have to worry about too much. Also playing the one Called By because it's the game's best Saki one of currently, as far as I'm aware, other than I guess Instant Fusion in some cases. But Called By the Grave, just absolutely insane, but I only play it on the side because once again I just had room issues with the main deck. We're also playing our 3rd copies of Triple Tactic Talents, Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and Ash Blossom of Joyous Spring. Just in case we come into AA matchups where these cards are more relevant than anything else, we can side that other stuff in, just get more consistency for these options. There is a world in which I take these out and put it in a playset of something else, but I like these options because I know all these cards are good, and I know they all suit me pretty well. So all right, lads, and that's gonna do it for the deck profile today. Thank you so much for joining. If you enjoyed this deck, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. And of course, as always, if you guys have any thoughts on the deck or any suggestions, feel free to let me know down in the comments as well. I'm very open to hearing your guys' critiques and ideas because it just helps me become a better deck builder in general. So once again, thank you guys so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. And remember, as always, good fun. Have luck.